Hipsters.
I thought it was the WNBA, but you told me I was wrong. I don't know what it is. Give me a sport. Or does that ruin it?
How would I give him a sport?
Well, I didn't know if it was like for instance, it's the college football playoff, but obviously it's not that. It started 25 years ago, and is there another 25 in it? I don't know. What is it?
The UFC.
Oh, okay, yeah.
UFC
Sure.
one was 25 years ago last weekend. In Denver? Is that right?
The first UFC one was in Denver.
I got together with you, Kang, and we watched it.
I remember that day just like it was yesterday, Doug. You ordered it. You asked me.
I did, yeah.
Come on over, Kang. Let's watch this.
We didn't know each other then. It was kind of odd.
It was really weird.
You, come on over.
Hoist Gracie won the first UFC.
You were like 8.
Hoist Gracie won the first 2, Kang? I think on the first 2.
I believe so.
Dan Severin from Coldwater, Michigan.
Coldwater, Michigan.
He was a big UFC fighter for the first few years.
Here's the question. 25 years from now, will UFC still be around?
Yes.
Will football still be around?
Yes.
Will baseball still be around?
Yes.
But which one of these, I agree, they'll all still be around. Which one of these will lose some place in our sports consciousness? If you had to bet on one. Because, you know what? 25 years ago, we were the heart of the Tyson era, right? And boxing has lost some of its place. It was never one of the big 4. But I would argue that, and I might get yelled at for the second one, 2 sports that I've watched decline in popularity over the last 25 years. One is boxing. The other is NASCAR. I'm kind of going to duck and hide on NASCAR.
No, but you're right on that.
Am I?
I think you're right.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm right.
I think it's still popular, but it's not as popular as it was.
I used to have to cover it a lot more, so it felt like it was bigger. But that was the late 90s, and I don't have to cover it anymore, and I don't follow it as much, but it doesn't feel like it's the same thing, you know?
Well, it's interesting because UFC has grown so much, not just financially, but just as a sport itself, and what they allowed 25 years ago when the only rules were no fish hooking, and I don't know if they allowed groin shots. Seriously, there was like no fish hooking, no eye gouging, and I think there may have been no groin shots. That was it, and that's why John McCain famously called it human cockfighting.
There was no weight classes, nothing.
Right, no, it was just, here comes Hoist Gracie, 175 pounds of sinew, and he's choking everybody out because nobody knows what jiu-jitsu is, and you got these big literally 400-pound guys going out there to fight him, and they're choked out in 30 seconds. And it was really a strange thing, but the idea had intrigue. What would happen if a boxer went in against a wrestler? What would happen if a street fighter went against a jiu-jitsu practitioner? But the sport had to evolve because it wasn't getting licensed anywhere. So they had to change the rules and make it better. And they did. Dana White came in, cleaned it up. The Fertitta brothers bought the UFC, and everything has changed dramatically over the last 15 years or so.
The reason I mention these 3 sports is, first of all, we know that football's place in our society is kind of perilous right now. There is absolutely still a love of the game. TV ratings this year at the NFL level are up. I know the college ratings have been very healthy, but the numbers at the younger ages are dwindling. Schools are struggling, and that's the pipeline, right? The pipeline is drying up, presumes that it's going to go away. The pipeline is lessening. It's not. It's being reduced. I don't know if I'd call it a trickle, but the pipeline of football players, it's not what it was.
Well, maybe not, but the game is getting bigger, stronger, faster at the high school level.
I know,
as it does at every other level. I think what's interesting is to think about how the game is going to look different in 25 years. Is it going to be a game where it turns into some sort of two-hand touch league when it comes to quarterbacks? Because that's where they're trending.
Yeah.
Will there be changes to equipment that we're not going to believe we see in 25 years? Like a helmet could look completely different in 25 years.
I don't think there's any doubt it'll look completely
Padding
different.
will look different in 25 years. Maybe the surface of the fields will all take a different, hey, we found a way to lessen the impact by adding a different kind of padding underneath these
We're playing on Serta mattresses now.
Well, right, but you know what I mean? Like, there could be a million different things that change it.
Yep.
I'm interested to see what it's going to look like in 25 years. I don't think the sport's going away. I think the popularity of the sport in terms of the numbers of people that play it and participate in it, I think you're going to go through ups and downs in that over the next 25 years. I don't think it's going to continue to dwindle and the pipeline empties out there, because at some point you're going to reach a low and it's going to come back. There's going to be plenty of kids out there that say, look, this is still my opportunity to get a scholarship and get an education. This is still my opportunity to go and make a living at it professionally. If there's less numbers, my odds just got better.
Okay, so I guess, and I bring up baseball because the demographic, the average baseball fan is in his 50s. The average NBA fan is in his 30s. The average football fan is in his mid to young 40s. Like the baseball one, remember we brought up baseball briefly last week, and I think we got 4 calls, and all of them were from very elderly sounding gentlemen.
Yes.
And I guess which one of these, or maybe it's another sport that you think 25 years from now, as a celebration of the UFC's 25th anniversary, no doubt that sport is growing in popularity and boxing is the victim. What sport 25 years from now do you think might lose some footing? 248-539-9797, ticket text 97136. And maybe it is UFC itself, because everybody's worried about concussions in football. What about
that sport? You're supposed to hit the other guy in the head.
Yeah.
They don't penalize you for that. It's crazy.
Exactly.
To think 25 years from now, would the UFC have a brighter future than football? Which 25 years ago, the UFC was thought to be it's too damaging.
Barbaric.
Yeah, it's it's unsafe. And now football is the one that's unsafe? It's crazy.
248-539-9797. We'll get to some open line calls, your feedback as well. Text us at 97136.